All right, sunshine and 75 in the XM. Remember when we had like 6 weeks in a row where we would film in a freezing parking lot?
Yeah.
Covered in snow?
It's coming up soon.
Why would
Before you know it.
Why, it's mid-July right now. Why
know,
would you say that?
I was telling
That's
you,
such a bad attitude.
Winter is right around the corner,
It's
isn't it?
such a bad attitude.
It is, though.
I can't be around this energy. On a Sunday evening of all times. I left the lake to be here with this energy.
Welcome to Downshift, everyone. My name is Paulo.
And my name is Matt, and we have spent the week with BMW's pinnacle, the upper echelon of performance SUVs. This is their M-only XM label. It's built to take on things like Aston Martin DBX 707s, Lamborghini Urises. It's savagely quick, but it's not perfect. So today, we're covering the best and the rest. Now the first thing is the biggest problem, and pun kind of intended. But we're going to talk about size and weight, and I've kind of been calling it the X5 problem. Now this XM is a big girl. She's within half a foot of an X7 and tips the scales at over 3 tons, about 6,100 pounds. That's heavier than a BMW iX M60, not by a little bit, by like hundreds of pounds. And it's technically, this XM is slower to 60 than that iX M60. Now, of course, that's an EV, very different, not comparing apples to apples at this point, but when you compare it to something like an X5M competition, this is about 1,000 pounds heavier than that, and it's dead even 0 to 60, and these are BMW's own claims, by the way. So while the PHEV thing is often the best of both worlds, here it's also kind of technically the worst of both worlds as well. You've got a thirsty V8, you've got a heavy battery pack, and a complex hybrid system. The truth is that the EVs are their own thing, and the iX can't reasonably be compared, so my problem is more how this compares with the X5M competition. I mean, the X5M is half a ton lighter, just as quick to 60, and it does it all for about $60,000 less money, and you can get that thing in Boston green, and it looks the business. So, rant kind of over. And in tandem with that, I think the problem that BMW has here, when it starts to compete at this price, this is $185,000 to start, $192,000 as tested. I think BMW just kind of lacks some of that brand cachet a little bit to compete with things like Aston Martin DBX 707s, Lamborghini Urises, even Porsches to some degree. It's not that BMW engineers can't compete. I think the BMW engineers have the talent, have the ability to bring something that's savagely quick to compete with those things on paper, but I think when people are getting their pocketbooks out and getting their wallets out and they think, I have $200,000 to spend, do I want something that says BMW on the back or Aston Martin or Lamborghini? I think that's where BMW starts to struggle with the halo experiment like this. There's also just a pretty synthetic experience, I think, going on here, and it just makes me kind of a little bit when you consider this is like a full M. This is like the M fledgling car, and it's just kind of the pursuit of speed at all costs. Really, the issue is in the name. As I said, like, this is an M-only halo car. When I think of M Heritage, I think of the previous M1, which is a completely different ballpark and philosophy. Now, obviously, times have changed, etc., but there's just something about this 6,100 pound plug-in hybrid that just sits a little weird with me as being a Halo M product. It's as fast as anything, but I just struggle to get that like raw emotional experience that I want from it. It doesn't really feel supernatural, organic at the limit through a corner, as we saw on track. It stays really, really flat through a corner. They've done a great job composing the chassis and managing the weight, and it's got pretty good brakes, and it's violently, violently quick. But at no point does the car really like shrink around me and make me feel like I'm in flow with the car. It's just a simple size and weight thing. What they've managed to do with the size and weight is incredible from an engineering perspective. It's just, you can't engineer your weight out of 3 tons. Then we start to talk about cargo and practicality. This thing is 8 inches longer than an X5, and that's not necessarily a problem, but when you get to the trunk, there's a very specific issue with it. Now, of course, it's powered, you've got close and lock, and you do have privacy shade built in, which is kind of nice. It's a firm one. I have hit my head on it once. You also get a little bit of detailing up here. But when we look at the actual space itself, it's 18 cubic feet of space, which is half of the space that you get in an X5. It's also a little bit less than you get in something like a Golf GTI from VW. Now you can fold the seats, though not from the trunk here. And when you fold the seats, you're looking at 64 cubic feet of space. So it gets a lot better. It's just that they've prioritized rear seat space over cargo space. And when you look at the actual usability, now I don't know how many people are lifting heavy things into the back of their XM, but I'm 6'1", this is basically up to my hip, the load floor here. It looks nice with the kick plates integrated with the carpet, but the floor doesn't come up. There's no grocery bag hangers back here. It's just not a super practical space, the trunk of the XM Label.
I think it's just worth mentioning 64 cubic feet, that is 10 less than the X5M.
Yep. But then some of the best things about this car, the first thing we have to talk about, obviously, is speed. 4.4 liters of twin turbo V8 plus a single electric motor, 738 horsepower. That's up 94 from the non-label XM, and 738, the same number in torque. That's up 148 pound-feet from the normal XM. 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds thanks to the 8-speed automatic and an all-wheel drive and a clever differential. It says you're gonna get about 14 mpg on just gas. I've been seeing, so this thing's done 20 mpg average since its inception, since it was born. This week I've done about 24-ish mpg in combined. That's without, topping up the battery every time I leave the house. So that's not bad. But you're not here to hear about fuel economy, you're here to hear about speed. And the best way that I can describe the pace of this car is violent. It is violently, savagely powerful and fast. So let's check out the lap. All right, sunshine and 75 in the XM. About nailed that braking zone. Oh, turns excellently. There's so much power. Oh, it's so violent. Such little roll though. Short shifted. The brakes are good, you just gotta get on them so early. Easy early braking there. That was bad. I'm on the rev limiter. Then we're going to talk about the rear seats, but first we're going to talk about the doors because they're actually pretty interesting. Now, the quilting, the stitching, the perforations, all the materials are really pretty cool. Of course, you've got really pretty Bowers and Wilkins speaker covers up here, but when you look down into the door, it's a huge cavern of storage in there. It's just wild. But when you look up at the window itself, a little bit strange to not have window shades back here. This is a $200,000 car after all, but when you step into the car, I'm gonna use my hip pillow, my lumbar pillow, excuse me. That's nice. I have a huge amount of space back here. This is the lounge configuration. You can kind of see you do have the red and the black, the two-tone, plus your hip pillows, and you see it kind of like curves in on the side. So you can even have it a little bit like a conversation pit because you're just discussing business and world politics. But really, really nice detailing, leather quilting on your map pockets. You do have the iPad and USB-C mount here on the back of your seats. You have heated seats, you have 4-zone climate, vents, chargers and stuff down here, but you do not have cooled seats. A little bit of a ding, like the window shades. The other thing too, I actually kind of like this, and they improved the feeling. It feels a little bit more expensive for this here. The headliner is super cool, and you can get ambient light to refract off of these little concave and convex dimensions. There's obviously no panoramic roof, there's no glass here, and the interesting thing is, you see we have the purple going on here. When you open the door to the car at night, you will get an animation, a display that goes white, and then red, and then blue, and then purple, so the M colors, but you can't get multiple colors in your head unit. Why? Give us that, give us cooled seats back here, give us window shades, and it would be perfect. And when we talk about the cabin interior, the design, the materials, the whole experience in here, is very bespoke, is very special, is very different. We'll start with the seats here. This is the full merino Fiona red, and it is pretty cool. You've got the red upper, the black lower, but with the red stitching to kind of tie into the upper piece. This, of course, lights up because it's a BMW M car, and they all do, right? You've got heated, you've got cooled, you've got massage in the seats here, and everything that you touch is either leather wrapped or carbon fiber, aside from this little piano black plastic part, but we're not going to talk about that. The dash is leather wrapped. You've got the M decal here, red accent venting. It's a little much for my taste, but hey, if you're into it, you're into it. I do want to talk about the carbon fiber M signature whatever package because it is more interesting than really any of the other carbon fiber I've seen. It does have some red weave to it, it has some blue weave to it, maybe like M heritage colors perhaps. And then this, I don't really know what to say about this, but it's worth mentioning because I've never seen this before. It's kind of interesting. And then your center console, of course, you do have that carbon fiber, but you have heated and cooled cup holders. We've got ambient lighting accenting the entire cabin, M shift knob, beautifully done, and your steering wheel has a Vader chrome to it. We've seen cars, M cars with the carbon fiber, but I do like the Vader chrome. It feels a little bit different, feels a little bit more special, but there's a lot of personality and a lot of design going on in the interior of the XM. And then we have to talk about the PHEV thing. Now the truth is, this is the M car that will see the track the least. That's just the truth of it. And I think they know that. So the PHEV thing is actually really nice here, from like a road, city, day-to-day driving kind of thing. 42 miles it shows of range when I take it off the charger. It says it's claimed about 31. The true range is somewhere in the middle of that. Now if you're gonna do more on the side streets, you'll get more. If you go on the highway, you'll get a little bit less. But plugging into my Emporia, my level 2, this thing will charge from flat to full in like 3.5 hours. So it's pretty good. Now, if you do want to get an Emporia, if you want to charge stuff, there's a link down in the description that'll save you a bit of money. So I would recommend that. This thing's also, if you take away all the gas engine and the 4.4 twin turbo V8, the electric motor itself is good for 194 horsepower and 46 mpge. So it actually does feel pretty peppy, and you can drive this thing around in the city, day to day, on electric alone, and it still feels quick, even without using the gas engine. So it's nice. And of course, it's a modern BMW, so you have all of the tech features. You have a completely robust head-up display with a million different things that you can see in it. And then down here, you've got iDrive 8, or whatever the newest system is. And it's really good. You've got a load of different information you can get from your head-up display. Where's the one I want to show you? Augmented reality. So you can have an augmented reality system that works in tandem with your navigation to see exactly where you need to turn on the road. I mean, that's super cool. But we go over to here, your main event screen. It's like notification widget oriented, so you can add different things to your home screen. You've got pull downs so you can see different shortcuts. You've got a load of different apps in here that you can play with. You've got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You can get a drive recorder, so your 360 cameras will work in tandem with your drive recorder to record any incidents on the road, so you're not liable if somebody hits you. You do have excellent 360 cameras, and you even have, where is it? Where is it? Your 3D view. And you've got gesture controls and all the things that I'm not going to use, but you notice this? These are not the wheels that we have. These are the 23-inch wheels. We've just got the peasant spec 22s, I guess. But you do have the backup assistant. It's pretty good. And when you get to your driver assist suite, this has the Drive Pilot. It's not the Assist Plus, so it won't go completely hands-free with the lights here, or at least I didn't get it to work, but it does work really well. But overall, the tech in here, very, very good, as you'd expect from modern BMW, and especially one costing almost $200,000. And before we go for a drive, there's a couple odds and ends that I think we should cover. And in your trunk, as we saw, you've got the XM duffel, which is a good place to hold your charging cords. It's got some gold accents. $250. I actually admittedly kind of like this. And as usual, you'd have your M mode, so you can toggle between road and sport. There's no track option like we had in the M3 competition, interesting for an M-only vehicle, but you do have this button here, which is M Hybrid, which will let you control these different drive modes. So hybrid is exactly what you would think. It's going to prioritize the electric range, so when you plug in and that bar is full, it'll run mostly on just electric, unless you demand more with your foot. And then you can select just electric, which, as you would expect, pure electric driving mode, and E-Control, which is going to completely save the battery and the range and just use the V8. So some interesting stuff that you can control here. This thing is so fast.
It is ridiculously fast.
Brutally fast.
At basically every speed, it has torque, it has the power, it basically anywhere in whatever gear, at whatever RPM, it has the power and the torque.
That's what it was. That really stood out to me on track, actually, because it was coming out of every corner. It felt like I was at peak horsepower and peak torque. Like it didn't matter what gear it was in, didn't matter what RPM it was in. It was just power and a crap load of it.
Yeah.
And you know, with all this weight, with 6,200 pounds or 6,100 pounds or whatever it is, traction wasn't really an issue.
Right.
Braking was a little bit of an issue going into the first hairpin. But yeah, it's big.
Yeah, any other standouts you had besides...
It's big and it's fast.
Yeah, it's ridiculously quick.
And the ride.
Yeah, I think those are mine. It's ridiculously quick. A lot of synthesized noise
Makes
pumped
a lot
in
of
from
noises.
the exhaust.
Yep.
Heavy under braking, you can feel the weight under braking. And then, yes, I wish it had an air suspension. It's a little bit of stiff of a ride. You can kind of hear all the bumps that you go over and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very stiff, and when you do go over the bumps, it's loud. Like the tires are loud. It's actually kind of loud going down the road, and it's weird because it dances that line of like, this is supposed to be an M-only car, right? This is an M-only car. This is the pinnacle. This is the best that BMW can do. This is like their Halo experiment. So I get that, okay, you got aggressive tires on it, you're gonna have some road noise, I get that. But then this also has heated and cooled seats, massage seats, it's got the crazy lounge in the back, so it's like trying to do two things.
Yeah.
And therefore, it doesn't commit itself to one thing.
Right.
And we talked about the experiment, like, if we're gonna get from the M division, this is the best we can do, this is our best foot forward.
The most powerful, most expensive.
I would have wanted an M1. Again, I would have wanted a modern M1 that probably looked a lot like an M1. If we had that M1 skin with this 4.4 twin turbo V8 underneath,
be a hit. Yeah.
Everyone would swoon.
And I think a lot of people feel that way too. Like, to your point, you're gonna make something like this, your Halo, your pinnacle of success. No, I don't think we wanted a 6,000 pound SUV that kind of looks like a Warthog. But
yeah, and at $200,000.
I hate to say that because it's
so fast.
I think it's frustrating because you know what it could have been.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what is frustrating for me.
Yeah, and the lap time speaks for itself. It is very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
It is very good at doing that. Didn't feel super natural, didn't feel super organic around the track, but it got the lap time. The only thing that's quicker than it that we've tested is a BMW M3 competition,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which is thousands of pounds lighter. But yeah, it makes me feel like I wish that we would have gotten like an M1 Roadster again. So this thing inherently, and especially with the existence of the X5M competition, like, I don't think this thing logically makes sense. And at this price point, the question becomes, does it need to logically make sense, or is somebody just going to go to the dealership and say, I want the craziest, I want the fastest, I want the most expensive, the most exclusive thing, and that's this.
Yeah, that is a good point because it is very exclusive. At least the last research I did, there was only, I think, 500 made. So there is some exclusivity getting this thing.
Right.
But to your point, okay, you're going to a dealership for $200,000. Well, you'd probably cross-shopping a Urus, or I mean, there's a host of other cars you are probably cross-shopping, and it's just like,
yeah, you get to $200,000. There's other brands with other SUVs. So I don't know. It's an interesting use case. It's an interesting value proposition. Is it there? Is it not there? I think maybe a lot of it hinges on whether or not you like the styling, or you like the carbon fiber with the blue and the red in it.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious. Like in the comments, if you had $200,000 and you were looking for an SUV, what would you get? Would you get this?
Yeah. I think maybe we leave it to the comments. Let the people sound off. What do you think? But while you're doing that, I want to thank BMW for letting us have a go and letting us put it around Road America's track. And thank you to Road America for letting us use your track too, because this thing is savagely quick. And thank you to you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.